With the 4th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Amen Thompson from Oakland, California, an overtime elite. With the 20th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Cam Whitmore from Villanova University.
So if you didn't know, we got a new look for the Chop Shop merch store. We got some new drops in there, some new sales coming up. I want you guys to go to the merch store. You don't have to buy anything. I just want you to go there and look at some of these fire designs that we got in there. Shout out to our CSGs. If you hear the term CSG on the channel, that stands for Chop Shop Gang. That's the community. That's those passionate Rockets fans that sit through 2-3 years of a rebuild, that sit through bad games, that sit through bad coaching. Shout out to y'all. We are at the cusp of glory. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Got to keep pushing through. Shout out to the CSGs. Go to the merch store. Check out the designs on there. If you like something, cop it, man. Cop it. Let them boys know what the CSG stands for, man. Tell them that you've been a die-harder. You went through the Christian Wood years. You went through the John Wall years. So keep repping, keep supporting the Chop Shop, and we're going to keep dropping heat.
Get it when I need it, and I'm telling you I'm coldest when I'm down in the winter, and I'll be riding rain.
Jackson Gatlin, Locked On Network. First, congratulations, Amen. What do you think, or how would you describe yourself as a leader, and what do you think you can bring to the Houston Rockets as a leader?
I think, I've become more of a vocal leader, but first I lead by example. And I think, I could bring that to Houston. And I think Houston got a lot of players that have great potential, and I think they have a scary future.
So the Rockets somehow, some way, by some weird thing that never happens to Houston, ended up getting 2 players that they were rumored to have liked throughout the draft workout process. It's crazy. Just finished the live stream. I'm still shocked. I'm really still shocked that we were able to get both Cam Whitmore and Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore with the 4th and the 20th pick without having to trade up, without having to use any assets, just outright. It's weird. I mean, it's such a weird situation. I mean, there's so many different layers to this. Drafting a guard, getting a player that could be a supportive player in Cam Whitmore, that's a guy with high upside, and to just pull it off without doing, any type of trades or moves or anything like that. If you had told me this 30 minutes before the draft and said this is where we're going to be, I would have been confused. I'm like, no, there's no way we could do that. What kind of magic are you talking about? But here we are. We are at the culmination. We are at the fulfillment. We are at the build-up. We are at the apex. We've reached the summit of this 3-year tank. And it is time to slowly just open the door into being competitive and walk through that door so that the Houston Rockets can get back to a place of prominence where we belong. It has been a long 3 years, guys, and shout out to you guys. My God, can you think of all the stuff we've dealt with? The Harden leaving thing, where they're not good enough, or we're just not good enough. Going to the wow factor, going to the losing streak, having random players play on our team that we've never heard of until they showed up and stepped on the court. Going through the Christian Wood deal, the Daniel Tice double big lineup, Jalen in the corner. You know what I mean? The KPJ controversy at point guard when it first started. Coach Silas throughout the whole time. Eric Gordon getting being discontent with his position. All of that. Even into this year, Alperen playing, him not playing, lob threat versus non-lob threat. This past season, Jabari, like JJ Redick said, a guy left on an island, left out in the middle of an ocean without a life craft. That's how he described Jabari Smith's rookie year. And we made it through all of that. And the Rockets are done collecting their tokens and they are done tanking, quote unquote. And we've reached here. No, we didn't get Victor Wembanyama, but damn it, we got some things, boy. I mean, I'm ecstatic because we actually got a guard. We got a guard. I would have been so disappointed if the Rockets left this rebuild without actually getting a blue chip guard out of it, because to me, that's like the highest baseline position that you could draft, a guard. Guards are players that don't have to be superstars to have the best impact on the team. Guards are players that they don't have to score 50 points. They don't have to do any of that to be the biggest impact players on their team. You can look at the guards like Jason Kidd, Chris Paul. I mean, there's just throughout NBA history, the position of a point guard is a position of leadership. The position of a point guard is a position of structure. The position of point guard is a position of discipline. And sadly, over the past few years, this position has been, by design or whether by choice or whether by experimentation, it hasn't really been given a lot of support. Hasn't been given the best foot to stand on or the best chance to be successful. Kevin Porter, learning the position, tried, the best he could to emulate that position, and using his talent and his skill set, was able to develop certain things that will be beneficial for his career moving forward. But as I've stated my whole time talking to you guys, KPJ is not a point guard. Because a point guard isn't just a name, right? A point guard isn't just, oh, you're my point guard. A point guard is a position, it's a state of mind, it's a state of being, and even if you want to get philosophical with it, you could even say that trait to be elite at that position is innate, meaning that it's something that you're born with. And guys, I'm here to tell you, we drafted a point guard. Amen Thompson is a point guard. Amen Thompson is poised. Amen Thompson is cerebral. Amen Thompson is composed. Amen Thompson is developed mentally beyond his years. He is a guy that has some natural leadership qualities about him. He has charisma. Even though I don't believe that he's going to come into the locker room from day one and be that guy that I'm describing, I think it's going to take some time. He's going to have to earn it, because a true leader doesn't assign themselves as the leader. A true leader earns that respect from those that they are leading. And I feel like his work ethic, which is one of the biggest traits that I feel the Rockets fell in love with, is going to prove that he is a true leader over the time that he is going to be on the Rockets. The Rockets got them a point guard. Not only a point guard that you can build with going forward. It's cool to sign a free agent. You could throw the bag at a Fred VanVleet, and we very well still might. You could throw the bag at James Harden. Maybe they do. You could throw the bag at multiple guys, but those are just temporary stopgaps, temporary fixes to get us over the hump. Because at the end of the day, when it's time for us to be relevant and be like that contender level, it's going to be on the backs of these players that we've suffered to draft. It's going to be on the backs of the Jalen Greens. It's going to be on the backs of the Alperen Senguns. It's going to be on the backs of the Tari Easons, the Jabari Smiths. It's going to be on the backs of the Amen Thompsons and the Cam Whitmores. But to know that you've addressed a big man in LP, that we have forwards with Tari and Bari, we have an off guard with Jalen, we have another forward with Cam Whitmore, we have a potentially, a player that could be a combo guard, whether off the bench or even starting at a different position, and Kevin Porter Jr. if he's still here. And now you have a true point guard in Amen Thompson. The Rockets have checked every single positional box and filled that box with upside. Now, upside is just upside till it's realized, right? You don't win rings for the most upside team, right? There's no celebration at the end of the year. We don't run parades for, we got the most upside. So what does that mean for the Rockets? We're drafting these players, right? You don't get rings and the key to the city for upside, right? We're not going to feed, you don't feed your family as a coach or a GM off of potential. That potential has to be actualized. So the road ahead is going to be long, and it's going to be hard for them because they're going to have to develop these players, right? We're going to have to actually see whether they fit together and can they play winning basketball. And that's why I feel like one of the most important things that the Rockets have done is the hiring of one Ime Udoka. If we drafted Amen and Cam Whitmore under Steven Silas, I'd be very worried for both of them. I'd be very worried for both of them. But the fact that we have a coach that's actually intentional, experienced, confident, feels like they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They kind of coached the team in the finals. It changes the dynamic of the level of talent that you add to your roster. Amen Thompson is a versatile player. This is a guy that he can play on ball as a lead ball handler. He could play off ball in the role of a wing. And you want to say like off ball, man, he can't shoot. Think of Aaron Gordon, right? I think that's a great analog for how to use a player who has shooting as a limitation, because some of the greatest point guards in NBA history aren't all great shooters. What they are is they're cerebral. And if you put multiple players that have great IQ together, they can work it out. And NBA history has always proven that. So this roster construction going forward is going to be interesting. The Rockets have, obviously the cap space is there. They have about 8 guys that are still within 3 to 4 years in the NBA. 7 or 8, depending on who you want to include in that quote unquote core. The oldest being Kevin Porter Jr. And then you get to KJ Martins of the world. I don't know if Tate's going to be here, so I'm not going to count him in there. But then you get into Jalen's class of players. Then you got the Jabari's class of players, and now we have Amen and Cam. How can we make this fit? That's going to be the road ahead for Rafael Stone. He's done a great job drafting players, but drafting players is just drafting players. Can you build a team? Can you put together a group of men that have a single goal of winning basketball games and actually accomplish that? That is the challenge that lay ahead for our Rockets. And I'm going to reiterate this. The biggest move the Rockets made this offseason was not Amen Thompson or Cam Whitmore. The biggest move was Ime Udoka. Because a good coach transcends any individual player. A good coach opens up everything. It opens up every player and allows them to be able to be successful, to flourish in their roles. That's what a good coach brings to a franchise. And we have that. So getting an Amen Thompson and a Cam Whitmore is icing on the cake. You know what I mean? That's just icing on the cake. We have a guard. And there's a lot of time this summer to get into the X's and O's of how they fit. You know, what does it look like? Who do they play? We'll get into all that, you know what I mean, throughout the next few weeks as Summer League approaches. But I today want to just take a step back and look at the big picture of what the Rockets have done.
So obviously a lot of mock drafts had you within the top 10 of the draft, and so you slid a little bit here. I thought you should have gone number 1, but can you tell me how you thought where you thought you were going to go and how it feels to go number 20?
I have no idea where I was going to go. I mean, every time it kept counting down, didn't know where to go. I mean, it was still, I was praying. I mean, I was taking God. I was just really talking to God the whole entire time for real. But, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I was in Houston before I was training just in Houston, so, I mean, it's time to go back.
And then we go on to the Cam Whitmore, a player who literally, like, last week, I think me and Madison just made a video having him as a potential number 4 pick. Now, I didn't believe he belonged in the top 5 because of watching this film. I still thought he was top 10. But for him to slip to 20, I'm kind of confused and I'm just kind of perplexed at the same time. Like, did he do something wrong? And it's coming out that he said he's perfectly fine. People are saying there were medical issues. There are no medical issues. So what happened to Cam Whitmore that teams just let him go to us at 20? Is there something we don't know? I don't know. I think that's all still there. But if he is just fine and he just kind of, you know how these things go. A team really likes a guy. He's supposed to go to this team, but they make a different pick, and the teams that already like their guys just pick the guys they're going to pick, and you just kind of just are in no man's land, and you slide down the draft. If that's all that happened, the Rockets potentially took 2 top 10 players with 4 and 20, which when you're building a roster and you're building a contender, you need some luck. where a player that's supposed to be this and this slipped down and bam, there you are. You got a potential all-star level player as a low pick. You need some luck. And I think that I'm hoping that there's nothing that we don't know about. And even if he had bad workouts, bad interviews, to me, none of that explains what happened, because at the end of the day, you judge players on their film, right? You can watch the film. I mean, these workouts are just trials. Some people are nervous. Some people they're not, great at speaking. So I can't make a decision about a player with that much potential just based off of a 1, 2, or 3 day interaction with them, when you have a collective of the collective data of film, of speaking to other people around them, their coaches and things like that, to get that information. So obviously the Rockets like something about him. And it did say that they were trying to move up. I don't know if they were trying to move up to get him, but teams did not want to trade back. So I'm sure it was a very kind of a crazy waiting game for Felstone and the front office and the Fertittas as they waited to see if he would slip down. I was shocked when Cam Whitmore was not drafted by Miami. I was shocked when the Lakers didn't pick him up, and I was shocked when the Warriors didn't pick him up. So I'm hoping that we finally had a chance to be lucky for once, because if you're a Houston sports fan, man, it gets really tough. Unless you're the Astros, it's pretty much slim pickings for luck for Houston sports fans. So this might just be the day. This might just be the day that we finally got lucky. But coming out of the draft with Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore, you couldn't have asked for nothing better, except if you got Scoot and Cam Whitmore. That's just me. But Amen Thompson, like I said, you got you a guard, a blue chip guard. Not saying he's perfect, but the upside is there. The coaching is there. They're going to need to go get some vets, right? Woj said on ESPN that the Rockets are going to be heavy favorites to try to throw some money at Brook Lopez. I mean, that's an interesting fit. I think, for every Amen Thompson you have on your roster, you want to offset it with shooting. But even that, you can just get so creative with the lineups that you put out there. And like I said, I've said this several times, his biggest upside is not going to be if he develops a jump shot. His biggest upside is going to be the caliber of defender he becomes. If Amen Thompson becomes a two-way star, where he's a floor general and one of the best defenders on the team, where you can throw him on the other team's best scorer and he's shutting them down, where he could bully small guards, be overly physical on slider frame guards, where he can guard multiple positions, where he can run your fast breaks, where he could set screens and run pick and rolls and do all the actions off and on ball in the half court set. When he could develop in his body and his frame, maybe he grows a little bit more. When all of that comes together, you potentially have, the making of a star. And it's going to be on that defense, though. It's going to be on that defense. My philosophy on players, if you want to be a star, you got to do more than one thing really elite, right? You can't just be a great shooter. You're a role player. You can't be a great defender. You're a role player. You can't be a great scorer. You're a role player. All of those things scream to great role play. The stars are the one that combine two elite skills, right? Defense and shooting, two-way player. Playmaking and defense, that's a defender that's, like the Draymonds of the world. There's so many combinations of archetypes that players have. And I think people get so caught up on the shooting. Yes, it's important. And yes, it can be an issue depending on the team's construction and the scheme, philosophy, all those things. But it is not the end-all, be-all. There are plenty of champions in NBA history with rings on their fingers that can't shoot at the guard position, right? So it's going to be heavily dependent. But guess what? When that kid looks to his left, blue chipper. When he looks to his right, another blue chipper. So at worst, coming out of this rebuild, at worst, there is no way that the 4 or 5 guys that we invested a lot of, draft equity in drafting them high are going to be bust. I just can't see it. I can't see it. So did the Rockets win the draft? I would say for what we expected, hell yes. Hell yes, we did. We won the draft. Maybe San Antonio feels differently. They got Wemby. That's cool. Portland, they got Scoot. They weren't even supposed to be in the top 3. They just kind of stumbled into there and drafted a generational point guard. That's cool. But we got a generational point guard, in my opinion, and a potentially a wing that has the biggest chip on his shoulder. And I know it's painful for Cam Whitmore right now, but I loved the look on his face. We've seen that look before in athletes when they are treated less than they are expected to be treated, when they're considered less, when their talents are viewed as less than. That's the biggest insult for an athlete. And I hope that kid internalizes that and it motivates him that whatever the issue was, whether they thought he wasn't in shape, whether he didn't work out well, whatever it is, make them pay for it. Make the league pay for it. Make the league pay for playing you to that point that you would slip down to 20, where you got certain players being drafted over you when you, like, everybody knows damn well that it wasn't supposed to happen. But one man's trash, another man's treasure, and we got 2 diamonds shining. So I am giving the Rockets, if I had to give them the grade, depending on like what this Cam Whitmore thing is, because I still feel it's kind of just still kind of weird to me. If there's nothing wrong with him and teams just bumped their heads and overthought this, that's an A+. If there is something actually wrong with him and that like everybody's trying to keep it secret, then it's an A-. Regardless, it's an A. It's a great draft. Couldn't have asked for nothing more. I thought they were going to try to get cute and like start doing some weird stuff, drafting these random players. Didn't do that. I thought they wouldn't draft the 20th pick, but if you got Cam Whitmore there, why trade up, right? You would trade up to go try to get him. You would trade out if it was like he's gone and there's just a bunch of like, just random players there that you just don't want to add to the roster. But if there's a guy that was a potential lottery pick in the high, like top 10, and he's there at 20, no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. You draft that. There's no way I'm going to trade out of that or trade up or not draft if I have that opportunity, and that's a golden opportunity. This Stone dude might just be lucky, bro. That bald-headed dude right there, the bald-headed peanut head dude, he just might be lucky. He just might be lucky, man. But we'll see, because I'm not grading him on his draft as far as like what the ultimate outcome is. For this check mark that we're in, the objective of this game, like if it was playing a video game, you've passed this level. Now let's go on to free agency. We got to build a team, guys. We have to put together a roster. We have to keep building towards what's the ultimate goal: to contend for a championship. Some people look at the draft as the end-all be-all. I do not. The draft is a means to an end, just like free agency, just like your cap space, just like every tool that you have. That's why when teams tank for the draft all out, it's lazy. It's okay to tank, but you got to kind of have some nuance about it, right? You can't just try to be the worst team ever without considering development and structure and all those things, and just depend and hope that these young guys that you're bringing into this terrible structure are somehow going to magically get better and win you a championship. No, you have to build that structure. The Rockets are putting together the foundational bricks of that structure, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. I'm excited to see what this house that they've started building looks like, because the first bricks are being laid now. I'm excited to see what structure looks like. I'm excited to see what these guys are going to look like when they're held accountable. I'm excited to see what Amen Thompson's upside is. And I think when it's all said and done, kid has the potential to be the one out of all the ones we got. He might be the one, guys. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not tripping if he's not starting to start off the season. That's perfectly fine. It's okay for players not to start. Even high-level lottery players that have super high upside. Some of the greatest players in NBA history came off the bench when they were like rookies and sophomores. That's perfectly fine. But we are going to see. We are going to see. I'm excited. You guys should be too, because the Rockets, like I said, one man's trash, another man's treasure. We got 2 diamonds. So y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, in the chat. What is your grade for the Rockets draft? I give them an A-, possibly an A or A+. If Cam Whitmore is fine, it's an A+. But we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, these things come out. There's going to be a think piece on it by somebody. But y'all let me know in the chat. What is your grade for the Rockets? Did you expect to even... I don't think nobody can say they expected this. But appreciate y'all, man. Shout out to the CSGs. Y'all keep rocking with the Chop Shop. We are here, and we're going to keep dropping that
Fire.